Welcome back, Truth Seeker. December 22nd, 2017. The big news this morning, Donald Trump has signed the tax law into being. If you follow my blog on December 20th, I said why this would be the fitting date for Trump to sign it into law, understanding that the federal government, the puppet show that it is, does everything by this code of letters, numbers, and dates. This language is called Kabbalah. Check out Washington, D.C. There's one statue of a Confederate war general there, Albert Pike, and under his arm is the book Morals and Dogma, which is important to Freemasonry, which is headquartered in D.C. And in Morals and Dogma, all thanks is given to Kabbalah. It says all of Freemasonry's secrets are based in this mystical language, which has to do with letters, numbers, dates on the calendar, and more. So anyway, December 22nd, the day that leaves 9 days left in the year, the word tax in reduction gematria sums to 9. Plus this year it falls on a Friday. Notice the overlap with Friday, 3636, and tax 36. You'll notice tax also has gematria 45. Consider this is Donald Trump, the 45th president, signing this into being. If you add the numbers 1 through 9 together, they sum to 45. And this is a very special tax cut for the corporations of this nation. So, a little bit more. Again, tax and law both equal 9. Today leaves 9 days left in the year. The new tax law signed into being. Law also has the gematria of 36. Tax and law both also 45. The biggest winners of this tax bill are the corporations, and this has been the trend for the last 30 years. From Ronald Reagan forward, tax cuts have targeted the rich, and what's happened in the last 30 years of these massive tax cuts that mostly go to the rich is we've seen wealth disparity grow to the largest rate in the entire world. The United States of America, notice corporation in the United States of America share gematria of 144. Number that has numerology of 9. If you're not aware, the United States of America has the greatest wealth disparity in the world, meaning that the distance from the poorest person to the richest person is the biggest gap. It's not worse in any other country. The top 1% of wealth owners in this country have more than the bottom 50%. Think about that. The reason this is so, and it's gone in this direction in the time of these tax cuts, is because what's happening is you're giving people who are already rich and powerful more money, more resources. And because those people's tax burden is lessening, the wealth has to come from somewhere. So in that same period of time, more wealth has been pulled from the poor and middle class. And as a consequence, we've seen the middle class shrink and more people fall into poverty. This is all by design. They're trying to create a nation of low-educated, low-skilled people who can mostly only serve at the hands of their corporate masters. I mean, look at what most people do for a living now. They work for a giant corporation. They have a job that's almost meaningless. They work at a cash register. They push a button. They fill out paperwork that no one ever looks at again. This is what the majority of the country is doing. And it's all by design. I mean, look at what you learn in your public school system. You're not taught any real schools. You're taught skills. You're taught to fill out paperwork, do meaningless history research projects. Learn that Christopher Columbus, discovered a land where people already lived. This is all by design. They want a giant slave state. They want a bunch of dumb goyim is what they want here that they can just exploit. Like mice in a maze, working jobs that generate revenue, that create taxes that go to the rich class ultimately. This is what's going on in the nation. And the other thing is these tax cuts are insane because it is true that we pay way too much in taxes. But look, they're not cutting spending. This tax cut is going to add $2 trillion more onto the federal debt for this nation, which is already insane. At some point, that money has to be paid back. So what that means is our future taxes that we pay on, instead of them going to things that benefit us, they're going to be going to pay for interest on loans for these massive debts that we have to other nations. And this is why you see all throughout the country tolls being put up. I guarantee you because of this tax cut, you're going to see way more tolls put on interstates, more people paying taxes for driving on roads that your tax dollars are already supposed to have paid for. But if you research what's happening with some of these tolls set up in the country, the money, it's not even going to the United States anymore. It's going directly to other nations. Some people are driving down freeways, paying tolls, and that money's not even going to their own country. It's going to these other countries that have lent all this money to us for this debt. This is the New World Order agenda. This is how it works. And everything's a mocking. Trump signs tax bill before leaving for Mar-a-Lago. Always going to Mar-a-Lago. Look at the overlap with Donald J. Trump and Mar-a-Lago. See that overlap? 49, 68, 148. Those are our 4 base ciphers. Today's Trump's 337th day in office, which is the 68th prime number. The Apprentice, 68. See, this man's nothing more than a puppet. He's the chosen puppet for this phase of the agenda. See? It's also, you could also say it's 48 weeks after Trump took office today, if you don't count the full span. Otherwise, it's 48 weeks in a day. But Donald Trump, 48. Freemason, 48. The word wall, 48. Remember Hollywood put out the movie The Great Wall on the 48th day of the year, right after Trump took office? LeBron James got a TV show about the wall. Cleveland equals 48. James, 48. LeBron won the championship in the building that Trump had his convention in right after. All of this stuff is scripted ritual. Freemasonry controlling the whole show. Professional sports, rigged elections. This is their ball game. August 8th, 2016, that was also the day that Trump revealed his tax plan. You know, my channel's been deleted since then, but I used to have a video on this. Tax plan 88, Trump 88, August 8th, 88. Everything is ritual. We're living out a planned agenda with planned outcomes. They know exactly what they're doing with this tax cut. On the surface, it might look good for everybody, but at the end of the day, it's going to shift more financial responsibility to middle class and poor people who are going to lose more of their wealth while corporations gain. That's the continued direction for the last 30 years with these tax cuts. Also, something I want to link. I'm going to link this post down below. I want you to watch this video right here. It's a scene from the movie Network. Came out in 1976. One of the most important movies if you've never seen it. It's the boardroom scene where Ned Beatty's character sits down the main character and explains that we don't live in a world of nations. We live in a world of corporations and dollars and cents. And everything is a financial calculation. When you watch that scene, notice when Ned Beatty's character gets to dollars and business, he starts doing this with his fingers, you know, making that 666 symbol, just like Trump so often makes the 666 symbol. And dollar sign 666, business 666, finger 666. 666 is the 36th triangular number that corresponds with tax. We, the working class people, are supporting a nation. We are supporting a nation, Israel, of people who've never had to work based on our labor. And most of our labor is absolutely worthless, you know. Like I said, most people go to a job that has no meaning. Sitting at a cash register, you know, pressing a button, filling out paperwork that nobody's ever going to look at again. It's what the majority of people do. You know, the whole point of this is the Ponzi scheme they've built, because that revenue, they take a chunk of it and it goes to other people. That's why they have you doing these meaningless jobs and paying taxes, because it steals, it generates revenue that gets stolen by a group of people. Bitcoin's also in the headlines today. We've talked about how Bitcoin equals 36. Not coincidental that Bitcoin, which is a controlled currency by this same Masonic network, is tanking today. Bitcoin has been designed as a prototype currency, probably for the future one world currency, which will no doubt be electronic, but also to steal more people's wealth. Most people are investing in this Bitcoin, you know, with blind faith. And meanwhile, you know, what can you really do with a Bitcoin? There's a few websites that accept it. You can't go to the store and buy groceries with it. You can't buy any gas with it. You can't spend it pretty much anywhere. This is just something that's going to end up stealing a lot of people's wealth. Just like the markets steal a lot of people's wealth. We live in a trap. You know, we're born into a trap, raised for a system that exploits us from birth to death. The only thing I can say positive about this tax cut is it got rid of the penalty for people who aren't participating in the Affordable Care Act, which was criminal. But ultimately, this tax cut, which is temporary, is going to put us in a bigger hole that's going to hurt a lot of people in the near future. You know, just imagine if this was your household. If you're going to spend a ton of money in the next year and make a massive cut to your revenue, how's that going to work out in the long term? You're going to end up losing your house. So, again, the United States of America is not a sovereign nation. It's always been a New World Order nation. That's why more and more of our financial resources are going overseas. That's why people are paying tolls with money that goes straight to overseas. You know? All right, Truth Seeker, we'll leave it there. Till next time.